If all goes according to plan, this wood will be cut, shaped, and scraped into one of the most expensive cricket bats. And while making a high-end bat is labour-intensive, the real reason they cost so much? English Willow. English Willow bats are considered the cream of the crop, associated with star players like India's Surya Kumar Yadav and MS Dhoni.
No professional player will use anything but English Willow.
The highest bats nowadays go for even up to $1,000.
That's why police in India have cracked down on counterfeiters trying to pass off bats made with less desirable wood. So why are English Willow bats the top choice for pro cricketers? And why are they so expensive?
When we check the ping, see, you won't know in one day what the sound is. We have been working from like more than 25-30 years to understand the sound.
The bat he's holding is called the Gunther. It's English Willow and it costs around $1,000.
It is most expensive because of the quality of wood, the best quality selection of wood, the grains, the ping, the shape.
But developing the best quality wood takes a long time and a lot can go wrong. The perfect tree for a cricket bat grows straight and slow, resulting in many grains close together in the wood. A tree that grows fast, on the other hand, will have fewer grains further apart. A bat made from wood that grows too fast will be lighter and softer, and it typically needs to be knocked in or played with a lot to harden it. The harder the bat, the further players can hit the ball. Most pro cricket players prefer tight-grained bats since more compact wood offers high performance from the start. The process begins halfway around the world, in a forest in England. Oliver Wright spends most of his time outside inspecting trees for J.S. Wright. The company supplies the wood for about 75% of the world's English willow cricket bats. An English willow tree is ready to be cut down when it reaches 60 inches in diameter, which takes an average of 15 years.
So roughly, if you were to hug the tree, if you can just about touch your fingers, depending on how long your arms are, then it's near enough ready.
Side shoots need to be trimmed twice a year to prevent knots from appearing in the wood. There's also the risk of a tree rotting from within if it gets too much water, and pests and diseases can ruin the bark.
But you can see how all the bark's coming off. Dead.
Once the trees reach the sawmill, the goal is to carve as many bats as possible from each one. This starts with cross-cutting the logs into 28-inch pieces with a chainsaw. Then splitting these pieces into smaller slices called clefts. Each cleft will become a cricket bat.
It all depends on how it looks inside the tree. If it's rotten, we'll get slightly less. If it's nice and clean, we'll get slightly more.
Average tree is about 40 bats per tree. The record here is about 700 out of one tree, and it was a huge tree. Yeah, huge tree.
Jeremy Ruggles is a director at J.S. Wright. He's been with the company since he was 18.
No, not very good at cricket, no. I love watching it, but I'm no good at playing it. You have to split them this way, so the grain goes through the bat to give it the strength. The grain can't go across the bat, it has to go from front to back, which is why it's split like cutting a cake.
At this stage, workers note any damage to the wood that might affect how it's graded later on.
So this is damage. This has been hit, struck by lightning or hit by something, hit by a tractor, or it stopped growing for a year, then started again. And you can see this is a good quality one. There's no damage or anything in it. It's a little bit of redwood, which is good.
One of the most important steps of the process is identifying what's known as the face of the cleft. This will be the part of the bat that strikes the ball, and the part the buyer focuses on in the shop.
It's looking which is going to be the prettiest, which side has the least amount of colour, The straightest grain is what you want, less colour and no knots. So whichever side looks nicer, that is the side the face is made. Once the face is decided and sawn, you can't change your mind.
Both of the ends are then covered in a special petroleum-based wax.
It's about 10mm on, just to reduce the splitting.
The quality of a cricket bat isn't based on just the type of wood, but also its grade. At JS Wright, grades range from 1 to 20, with 1 being the best. Bruce Arthey is doing the initial grading. He's been working with JS Wright for 48 years.
So this is how we grade things. We take the bat off there, we crush the back of it, we'd look at the grain of the bat like that, and these are quite nice straight grains. They're quite uniform. There's not much colour down the side, so I would put that into a 2 because it's just got a couple of little blemishes on the back like that, so that would make a 2, in my opinion.
The sorted clefts are stacked and dried in both the open air and a kiln to remove any moisture.
You can't rush this process. If you rush it, you get splits and you get heavy clefts. So this one in my left hand is a younger tree, but it's still beautiful, straight, no blemishes. One in my right hand's an older tree with more grains. This is what professional players like, the narrow grains, but it won't last as long as the younger tree with the wider grains.
JS Wright ships its processed and graded clefts all over the world. It's been supplying Sareen Sports in India for about 50 years.
I've known Jatin Sareen since he was a young lad. Hopefully I'll be dealing with his son one day.
Sareen Sports makes 500 to 800 bats each day with the clefts it receives from JS Wright. One bat takes 24 to 36 hours from start to finish and will touch 8 or 9 different hands. The process starts with smoothing out the clefts and cutting them down to size. A V-shape is also cut into one end with a bandsaw. This is where the handle will go. While the base of the bat is made from English willow, the handle is made from cane that Sareen Sports imports from Singapore. Each piece of cane has layers of rubber inside for shock absorption. The cane is smoothed down and then inserted into the V. Each handle is glued in place and it takes about 16 hours to dry. Workers use tools like a planer and an adze to carve the bat's basic shape and make it more lightweight. A cricket bat is flat on the face and curved at the back. It's typically thicker toward the centre or the sweet spot where it will make contact with the ball. The face of the bat also needs to be compressed since the English willow is so soft in its raw form. Each bat goes through a mechanical process like this one, which compacts and hardens the wood grain. Jeremy says this is one of the most important stages for ensuring the bat performs as expected.
If you didn't compress it at all, the ball would hardly go anywhere when you hit the ball with the bat. The face has to be compressed, and every bat maker does it their own way.
Finally, workers finish the handle by tightly winding a string around it and gluing a rubber grip on top. The bats are then sanded and polished.
In this section you can have a look. These are the ready finished bats. The bats are ready now to go.
High-end Sareen Sports English willow bats can sell for over $1,000. And as with many other expensive products, fakes are a problem. Counterfeiters often use cheaper wood like Indian Kashmir willow and try to pass it off as English willow. Kashmir willow is heavier than English willow and typically more yellowish brown in colour. But police in India have been cracking down on illicit operations involving counterfeit bats over the past few years.
There are many people who will sell a Kashmir willow bat with the English willow stickers. And then that's a totally criminal act what they are doing. They're trying to make fool of the customers.
Jatin says the best way to make sure you're getting a legit bat is by buying from a certified dealer. But despite the risk of fakes, Jatin says business is booming. And demand is increasing worldwide as cricket expands.
I've seen the cricket community grow in America. Now it's really starting to flourish.
Good snap, good snap.
It's a huge amateur community and now it's starting to get professionalized.
In 2024, the T20 Cricket World Cup is being played in the USA for the first time ever. And a new professional league called Major League Cricket held its first season in 2023. Sheikh has been playing cricket for 16 years, so he knows what the perfect bat looks and feels like.
Right now, people buy a lot of bats online, which is like going on a blind date. You really don't know what you're going to get, even though the brands try to promise a certain type of quality.
He says there are two ways to judge a bat: pick up and ping. Pick up is the feel of it in your hands and getting a sense of the weight.
You see, I'm constantly using my wrist and my forearm. So if a bat is too heavy or unbalanced, it just tires you out.
And then there's the ping test. The sound that Jatin was listening for, that most cricket pros know well.
A good English willow, when you hit it off the sweet spot, will make a beautiful sound. It's like that sound that you hear, that you know you hit the best part of the bat. Like, that's my sweet spot. That's why it's called the sweet spot.
But perhaps more than anything, cricket players look at aesthetics.
What makes a good bat, a high-grade English willow bat, is the cleanliness of it. There's no stains, it's just the lines are straight, especially in the sweet spot, so where the thickness of the bat is. You want the grain to be as clean as possible in that area.
But while these tightly grained, pricey English willow bats might be the most coveted by the pros, the trees that make these bats could soon be in short supply. According to Jeremy, quality trees are becoming rarer since they're growing faster with increasingly warm temperatures.
We're getting a longer growing season, so it's growing right up until probably November now. So it's growing more, so it's growing wider grains.
But he says wider grain bats aren't necessarily worse. They might just require a bit more use before they're on the same level of play.
You ask a player, he'll say, yes, the narrow grain one hits the ball better, but we've had tests done with bat makers making bats from wide grain. The ping is the same. It's all in the player's head. Some people always want the best, don't they? It's like motor cars, isn't it? You've got your Rolls Royce and you've got your Fords. You know, it's the way it goes in life.